Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Unstructured with YoungYoda. We've somehow made it to number 6 in this journey of ours. For this episode, I am turning to the gaming world. In particular, this deluge of monetization that has infected our once proud community. In the past, you bought a game, and with that game came adventures of all sorts that didn't require you to get past a paywall to enjoy. I think developers need to realize that the ones with the most money shouldn't have the upper hand when it comes to gameplay. So I'll read a few articles, maybe discuss them, and we'll continue on our merry way. Anyways, this episode is called Don't Monetize My Heart. Let's go! Our first article comes from Julia Lee of Polygon and is titled League of Legends Fans Angry Over Riot Games' Latest Monetization Effort. A for-pay achievement system is not what players were hoping for. Riot Games has used cosmetic skins and icons to monetize the free-to-play League of Legends for years. However, the company's recent turn to other monetization methods has upset the player base. The latest method that's made its way onto the public beta environment is a system called Eternals, an achievement system that's specific per champion. However, to unlock one set of 3 missions, it costs 850 RP, which costs around $7 in real money. Once completing the achievements, players will get an upgraded mastery emote. While the emote that appears for each champion depends on your mastery score, or how many games you played the champion rather, the little addition to the emote from Eternals isn't particularly unique. Players with the Eternals will also get a call-out banner appearing in their games when they reach a milestone. To players who've been waiting for a more meaningful achievement system to show off their skills on specific champions, this feels bad. Since Eternals was announced, countless Reddit threads have popped up on the League of Legends subreddit trashing the system. There are a shit ton of things I would gladly pay for: announcer packs, minion skins, skin maps, loading screen backgrounds, simple team esports, chromas, or map accents, but no, they decided to release simple stats that most games just show you anyway for money, said Reddit user Pixelcake. Riot Games did note that Eternals were a huge undertaking to build, and that the developers wanted to support and expand upon the feature for years to come, thus justifying the price tag. Well, nobody's denying the amount of work that went into making the system. Players want something to show for their accomplishments, outside of an edited emote. Like, if they did this right with actually champ-specific rewards for earning the achievements, I would be all for it. I'm down for exclusive Ziggs emotes, icons, chromas, and skins for earning achievements through a paid Ziggs pass. On the other hand, I have no interest in mastery emote reskin and a tracker to let me know how many times my underpowered abilities actually killed someone, said Reddit user NowCool. Riot has experimented with different forms of monetization in the past. Hextech Crafting League's loot box system, released in January 2016, the first League of Legends event pass surfaced for the 2017 World Championship, though the idea was reworked until the following year, where it made a comeback for the 2018 World Championship. It has returned in some form every couple months for a new themed event in-game. The Prestige Point system was introduced in January 2019, and originally was only given to you if you bought bundles of Hextech Crafting boxes. To get certain prestige skins, players would typically have to grind a ton of games using one of Riot's event passes, but a handful of skins were only available with prestige points. That being said, a bizarre forced incentive to buy over $100 worth of loot boxes was not great. Eventually, after heavy pushback by players, Riot made it so that players could also grind for prestige points. Using their event pass system, they required more grinding than usual to get enough points for a skin. With the launch of Teamfight Tactics came the launch of Little Legends, cute mascot creatures that serve as a player avatar during the game. Of course, to unlock better, shinier Little Legends, players have to test their luck by buying a loot box. The loot boxes for these are split up, so you'll get one of 3 species per egg, and each egg is a little under $5 worth of RP. The launch of Eternals isn't the first time League players have been upset, and surely not going to be the last. Riot Games has proven that enough outcry will result in change, but whether the Eternals blowback is strong enough to yield reversal is still up in the air. I think an issue developers run into, especially for ones who release a free game, is how to make money from the game. Games like Fortnite have thrived, but it requires a lot of effort from Epic Games to continuously upgrade and release new events to keep their player base continuously entertained. Unfortunately, there are developers who cannot or are not willing to provide this much content without a guaranteed profit. So, next we turn our gaze onto Apex Legends, whose developers got into a bit of hot water this week over their comments on Apex Legends' Iron Crown event, which saw gamers' ire over the loot distribution, and which saw in-game items only able to be purchased with real money, and one item only being available once all the other items had been purchased, totaling to over $150. And our next article comes from Joel Hruska from Extreme Tech. The article is titled Apex Legends Developer Enrages Reddit with Accurate Critique of Toxic Gamers. Over the weekend, Apex Legends developer Drew McCoy took to Reddit to apologize for the various ways in which a recent in-game event, the Iron Crown event, had missed the mark. And yes, that's my puppy, also agreeing that monetization is not the way. No loot boxes. No more. Anyways, back again. Which a recent in-game event, the Iron Crown event, had missed the mark. According to McCoy, the structure of the event broke previous promises that Respawn, the game's developer, had made regarding how loot would be distributed. Specifically, the company has promised that Apex Packs loot crates would not be the only way to get loot. Apparently, Iron Crown event skins were initially distributed solely through these loot crates. The original point of McCoy's post was to inform the community that legendary skins available during the Iron Crown event will also be sold in the store for Apex coins. That's what the point of the thread was supposed to be. The entire discussion has since been derailed by outrage over comments that McCoy made about the gamer community. We've said it before, but we will not engage with temper tantrums and personal attacks that are vitriolic threads are completely unacceptable. We took a look in the mirror this week and decided we hadn't met up obligations and are making changes because we believe in our approach. I've been in the industry long enough to remember when players weren't complete asshats to developers, and it was pretty neat. I forged a bunch of long-lasting relationships from back then. Would be awesome to get back there and not engaging with toxic people or asking how high when a mob screams jump is hopefully a start. Redditor Davis2 pinned one of the thoughtful missives Reddit is known for in response to this writing. Oh, well, I guess you can also remember when developers weren't money-grabbing fucks that scammed their players too. Anything from you in the future can die as quickly as it's released, in my opinion. And fuck, anyone that's saying this is better, like, take their dick out of your mouth and have some respect for yourself. Yes, I've gone over the top and I can blame the whiskey all I like, but I've gone from thinking, oh shit, these devs carry to yep, just as bad as EA's reputation. You had no choice but to answer risky comments, so get the fuck off your high horse. McCoy responded to this by saying he'd found the dick he was talking about earlier in reference to another thread about people being dicks to developers. This resulted in further outrage. Last night, the CEO of Respawn apologized to Apex Legend fans over the developers' comments, and that will be the next article I read. But continuing on this article, the gaming community has become increasingly toxic. McCoy's comments regarding toxicity are not unusual or unwarranted. Game developers have openly acknowledged that one reason they are wary of engaging with the wider gaming public is due to rampant toxicity and poor behavior from gamers. If you pay any attention at all to the gaming community, it's easy to see why they would. One trend in gaming is review bombing, in which thousands of people downvote a game to punish its creator for changes they don't like. While the tactic has been used for years, it's become increasingly popular. Valve has made various changes to its review policy back in 2017 and earlier this year as a result. The famously hands-off company has begun removing the impact of off-topic review bombs because gamers have begun targeting titles for issues that have absolutely nothing to do with the game itself. When the tiny indie game developer Glumberland announced it was moving its title Ooblets to the Epic Game Store, a move that would guarantee the studio's continued survival and allowed to build more games, it was met with an absolute torrent of abuse. Glumberland is a two-person studio with a small fan base. When they told their community, the news went viral online and in Discord, leading to an avalanche of attacks from people who had never seen or heard of their game. Ooblets co-developer Ben Wasser provided a disturbing image to show what he and his wife received. Wasser writes, "There's a strange relationship a segment of the gaming community has with game developers. I think their extreme passion for games has made them perceive the people who provide those games as some sort of mystical other, an outgroup that's held to a whole set of weird expectations. These folks believe they hold the magic power of the wallet over developers who should cower before them and capitulate to any of their demands. You can see there is evidence by the massive number of angry people threatening to pirate our game in retaliation to any perceived slight. We've been told nonstop throughout this about how we must treat consumers or potential customers a certain way. I understand the relationship people think they might be owed when they exchange money for goods or services, but the people using the terms consumers and potential customers here are doing so specifically because we've never actually sold them anything and don't owe them anything at all. And if they choose to not buy the game when it's released, that's totally fine with us. Whenever I mention that we, as random people happening to be making a game, don't owe these other random people anything, they become absolutely enraged. Some of the most apparently incendiary screenshots of things I've said are all along these lines. In Wasser's case, people stormed the company's Discord and attempted to frame the developer as having made a variety of anti-Semitic messages because they were angry that he'd made a decision about where to distribute a video game in a manner that prioritized the continued survival of his tiny indie studio. One of the standard ways that this kind of situation gets swept under the rug is with an "oh well, it's because of EA" or "oh well, it's because of loot crates." It isn't because of either of these things, nor is it because of social issues or political commentary, unless you think review bombing Shadow of the Tomb Raider for going on sale too quickly was part of someone's agenda. When gamers thought they'd seen a change to Spider-Man's graphics engine, they went nuts with conspiracy theories and attacks until the senior graphics engineer for the company had to step in to discuss the change. Even then, I saw people claiming that the game had been dumbed down. Should McCoy have gotten angry? Objectively speaking, no. It would have been better to get up from the keyboard and take a walk rather than be lured into losing his temper. But reading through the thread, you can get a sense for how the conversation evolved. What appears to have frustrated McCoy, and this is strictly my interpretation, is the repeated insistence that Apex Legends dev team built the Iron Crown event as a deliberate attempt to shake down the Apex Legends player base. McCoy provided some data to back up his arguments for why items were priced the way they were, leading to exchanges like these, and I'll read a few of these. So this comes from not the dev. It certainly feels like you're trying to squeeze every last dime out of us. We'll leave that to other games that do things that like provide methods to pay for power. We're not a hugely monetizing game. We just need to make enough money to keep the game going and make more stuff for everyone. When we decided to make Apex Legends a free-to-play game, it was imperative that free-only players still can get access to all gameplay while also having the chance at earning the coolest-looking cosmetics. We just need to make You have no idea how this industry works, what development costs, or how companies operate. Please don't call me a bullshitter. Have you discussed lowering the shop prices? It seems drastically higher than any other F2P game or ones that sell cosmetics. I know for a fact I would buy skins at lower prices, $5 to $10 depending, but $18 for a character skin that I don't even see seems a bit much. Buying 4 skins would be more than paying a full MSRP, $60 for a game. There's a wealth of data available on how monetization works in free-to-play games, and we ourselves have run tests by putting skins on sale in the store. The amount of people who spend is crazy low. Most of y'all are freeloaders, and we love that, and a change in price doesn't move the needle. It's probably not the best term to call them. The sales don't do anything, though, and somebody replied, the sales don't do anything, though. You still have to spend $20 on coins to get that sell item. Having an item between $10 and $20 still means that we have to spend $20 regardless if there is a sale or not, since there is no option to purchase coins for $5 or $15. It's a cheap move. This was a decision made because the whales are done spending money and packs aren't moving how you expected now. And the developer replies, get out of here with that nonsense. I've replied enough to these. Go look at those replies for reality. This is a perfect example of how people can wind up talking past each other. McCoy's points about the degree to which Apex Legends is or is not monetized may well be 100% accurate. The average cost of making a game at a AAA studio is soon to be $10,000 per person per month, according to Jason Schreier, who literally wrote a book on the topic. Very few gamers understand much about the economics of making games, but McCoy is supposedly bullshitting based on a Game Informer article about another company's estimate of Apex Legends' gross earnings. Gamers claim to want data, but when data is provided, that data is bullshit, unless it conforms to said gamers' preconceived notions of what it should look like. At the same time, however, McCoy doesn't answer one of the persistent complaints that Apex Legends players raise, namely the fact that they are forced to buy Apex coins using currency conversion schemes that obviously leave them with unspent worthless cash. This is a deliberate trick that companies have long used to force you to give them more money. Gamers aren't wrong to perceive this as being consumer hostile, but it's probably not the kind of decision that people like McCoy have any say over. People get frustrated on both sides of the conversation. I think Wasser's assessment of the strange relationship he refers to is accurate. Players see themselves as being at the mercy of developers, while the dev team may feel abused and ignored by a toxic minority of players. I'm speaking broadly to the situation because these toxic community issues are far larger than any specific incident, including this one, and both sides, developers and players, are unhappy with the end result. And from that, I can completely see where the developer is coming from. But I would think they would need to try and be somewhat professional, even, in a Reddit article or forum. I do agree that through the years, the community has grown more toxic, but also the developers need to listen to the more level-headed naysayers and realize that pay-to-play is not the answer, especially when the answer is over $100, $150 for a single item. And as a follow-up to that article, as I said previously, Vicky Blake from Games Radar goes on to report about Respawn CEO's response to this recent Reddit spat. And the article is titled, Respawn CEO Apologizes for the Apex Legends Iron Crown Reddit Spat. And Respawn CEO Vince Zampella released a statement on Twitter acknowledging the recent Reddit spat between Apex Legends developers and some members of the game's community. Zampella says he will always stand behind the team here at Respawn and support them on speaking out against some of the toxic and nasty comments being directed at them. But his tone is overall apologetic. I apologize to any of our fans that were offended, he says, later adding that going forward, we will be better. And I'll read the full statement by Vince Zampella. On Friday, we gave Apex fans an update on how we were changing the Iron Crown event. Some of the team then joined a discussion with our community on Reddit, and things got to a pretty bad place. Some of our folks crossed the line with their comments, and that's not how we want Respawn to be represented. I apologize to any of our fans that were offended. I will always stand behind the team here at Respawn and support them on speaking out against some of the toxic and nasty comments being directed at them, including everything from death threats to comments aimed at their family and loved ones. But we shouldn't contribute to it, and when we do comment and add to the very thing... But we shouldn't contribute to it when we do comment and add to the very thing we want to prevent. We need to lead by example. Last week we didn't do that, and going forward, we will be better. Having an open, healthy relationship with our community is incredibly important to all of us at Respawn. All right. That's a pretty good statement. Were some Apex Legends players soundly critical of the eye-wateringly expensive and exclusive microtransactions introduced in the Iron Crown? Yes, and Respawn admitted that the event took pricing and availability in a bad direction. Were some players indefensibly vitriolic in their criticism, which often devolved into personal attacks and threats? Also, yes. Of course, if you've ever been on Reddit, that's the usual. The evidence of that is still all over Reddit, and that's what prompted the controversial responses from the Apex Legends team in the first place. All right, so with that update done, we'll move on to the final article, and the one that I most closely relate to since I have played this game basically since year one. And that's right. Let's talk about Destiny. So Sean Murray from thegamer.com goes on to highlight Bungie's change of position of microtransactions since their split with Activision. The article is titled, With Activision Out of the Picture, Destiny is Removing Pay-to-Win Microtransactions. Big changes are coming to Destiny 2's monetization model now that Activision is out of the picture. Earlier this year, Bungie kicked Activision to the curb. They broke their contract with the publishing giant and took the Destiny IP with them, along with Destiny 2, having since learned the lesson with Microsoft and Halo. Since this will be the first year that Bungie has had full control of Destiny, they want to make big changes. They've already announced a new expansion, Shadowkeep, will arrive for Destiny 2's anniversary, but they also want things to change with respect to the game's monetization. Activision's money-grubbing ways aren't how Bungie wants to do things, and so the pay-to-win portion of the Eververse is out of here. In an update posted to the Destiny 2 website yesterday, Bungie outlined their plan to reform the Eververse, starting with purchasable armor. Come September 17th, all Eververse armor will be converted into universal ornaments, which is basically a fancy term for cosmetic items you can place over top of any legendary armor. You'll have the cool look of whatever universal ornament you install, but you'll retain the original legendary armor stats and perks. Previously, the only way to obtain Bright Dust was to dismantle Eververse items. That's set to change too. Come September, Bright Dust will become a reward for completing Vanguard, Crucible, and Gambit bounties. Instead of getting Bright Dust from dismantling Eververse items, you get legendary shards and Glimmer. This means that right now is the best time to stock up on Bright Dust before this change goes through. Expect a mad dash from players as they buy up whatever items they can to stock up on Bright Dust before September. Bungie plans to roll out these Eververse changes along with new Shadowkeep expansion for Destiny 2's anniversary on September 17th, And that actually got pushed back into October. So don't worry, guys, you haven't missed that yet. Or not technically in September, but it did get pushed back to October. Along with the new expansion, Destiny 2 will get a new light free-to-play mode, which will allow anyone to download, install, and play the base game completely free. They'll also be able to do the Leviathan raid, and any expansions will have to be paid for. That's it for the article. So, I just wanted to include that because I think Bungie understands where it went wrong with their deal with Activision, and I think they're trying to go the right way. I'm not saying microtransactions will disappear from Destiny, but, hopefully it gets better. And yes, that's a squeaky toy. So my final say on microtransactions is basically what my stance has always been on this topic. If you listen to me on the Game Records, then you already know. Allowing players to pay for cosmetic items is far different than paying to win. Video games should start on a level playing field. When pay-to-play is involved, then what ultimately happens is the one with the bigger bank account has an unfair advantage over other players. What determines who is the best in the gaming should not be whose wallet is thicker, but should involve those who invest the time and energy in becoming better and upgrading their character, aka the grind, or those who are just inherently talented at dominating gameplay. If you agree or disagree with me, go ahead and send me a message on Twitter or Instagram or the like. And that's the end of the article, and we'll move on to housekeeping. Or not end of the article, that's basically the end of episode 6. And moving on to housekeeping, you can find me on Twitter at randomgerm101, but I would much prefer you give a follow to at the _, which hosts this show and other great shows such as the Ladies of Nerdcores and the Impaired Files. Follow us on Instagram at the Nerdcores, and you can find all this information and more at our website, www.thenerdcores.com, where we even have blog posts. If you'd like to catch episodes on the Nerdcores podcast feed early or even get some extra goodies, be sure to sign up on Patreon at www.patreon.com/thenerdcores. With tiers starting as low as $1, you can help support this show and all other shows on the feed. Be sure to follow our executive producers, Grayson Barker, a.k.a. at WarlordHitman98, on Twitter, and Shane at twitch.tv/SRRKK, or follow his Twitter at SRRKK If you'd like to hear more from me, you can find me on the Nerdcores and the Game Records as co-hosts throughout the week. So, I guess for my final say, game on, gamers, game on. YoungYoda out.